Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for being here this evening. I am excited to share this workshop with you tonight. Yeah, and if you feel like turning on your cameras and wave to the other friendly, curious people in the room, I would love to see your faces. This is a place where you belong, whether you're monogamous, curious, questioning things, or already deep in the practice of non-monogamy and polyamory. And I want to invite you just to take a couple minutes to get present, drop into your body, just to kind of clear some space from wherever you're coming from, the end of a Tuesday. So if it feels good, go ahead and close your eyes and just begin to notice your body in the chair. Maybe it's laying down or standing up. Just begin to bring a little bit more awareness to the physical sensations within you. And you can begin focusing on your breath, just noticing how it's moving, where it's rising and falling. You can begin to slowly lengthen both the inhales and the exhales. Take a couple more deep breaths in. Open mouth exhale. Just sighing out whatever you were doing before, wherever you're coming from, and creating some space for presence for us to be here together this evening. Let's take one more deep breath in. Open mouth, deep exhale. Awesome. Thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. Great. Well, yeah, thank you for being here. I'm Aria, and I'm excited to share with you about my new upcoming group coaching program called Nourishing Non-Monogamy. And tonight will be a little preview of the journey that we're going to go on together starting next month. And as of today, we have just 4 spots left in the program, which I'm really excited. And yeah, I just wanted to create tonight's event as an opportunity for people to get to know me a little bit more, and to share more about how I'm approaching the curriculum and the time together. So I'm going to just, oops, hang on, whoa, here we go. Buttons. Okay, great. Here's the agenda for this evening. So yes, thank you for taking a couple moments to arrive and breathing. We're going to go through just a little bit of my background, my personal history with consensual non-monogamy, why I stepped into relationship coaching, an overview of the 12-week journey that we're going to go on together. And then I'm going to guide you through a mini meditation practice called centering. I will then share a little bit more about somatic coaching. On some of my calls, people have had a lot of questions like, what is that? What does that look like? So I'm going to walk you through that 3-pronged approach, and then we'll have a little Q&A at the end. So if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat as they arise, and we'll take most of them at the end. I'm also offering a special bonus this evening for whoever is most engaged. I really want to reward people who are fully showing up and present. And so, yeah, what this might look like is when you're invited to share reflections to drop in the chat. And so, yeah, would love to know who is in the room tonight. Where are you joining from this evening? And if you feel like sharing a couple words about what relationship style you're currently practicing or how you identify. And I'm happy to kick that off. I'm based in the East Bay of San Francisco, also known as Ohlone Land. I identify as polyamorous, demisexual, bisexual, and queer. And as we go through this hour journey together, I really want to invite you to take some time to resource yourself. So for me, a lot of this topic feels really comfortable and natural, but some of the questions that I might ask you to reflect on might bring up a lot of stuff. So I just want to invite you to keep breathing, noticing your body, drink water, take time. If you need to step away, I am recording this evening. So if you miss anything, I'm very happy to send you the recording. So let's get into it. Hi, Colleen. So this is one of my favorite quotes from Adrienne Maree Brown. She's a writer and activist, and she says, "We become what we practice." And so my question for you is, are you actively practicing being in intentional and consensual non-monogamous relationships? And this is me. Hi, I'm Aria. I use she, her pronouns. And as a relationship coach and somatic facilitator, I help people practicing non-monogamy deepen their self-awareness, overcome insecurities, and enhance communication skills to create more expansive, liberated relationships that feel nourishing and fulfilling. So, invitation to pause and breathe and reflect and comment in the chat. What are you currently practicing as it pertains to improving your mindset, your communication, or your self-awareness around your relationship style, whether that's monogamish, non-monogamous, polyamorous, and where are you in need of the most support in creating nourishing non-monogamous relationships? If you feel comfortable, would love you to send your meeting or your chats to the full group so that we can just have a sense of who's in the room. I see somebody comments Bay Area, Nexus sexual, he, him, non-monogamous in a journey of connection and presence. I love that. Thanks for sharing. So what I found in my 10-year journey of going on this alternative relationship path is that the most successful non-monogamous relationships really begin with a commitment to personal and relational growth and a lot of unlearning. So actively working on self-awareness, healing our insecurities, unlearning the insidious, toxic, monogamous mindsets around control and ownership of our partners, and improving communication skills leads to a more loving and abundant life with deeper connections, both romantic as well as platonic partnerships. And on this journey of, the last decade, I have to honestly admit, I have made probably every mistake in the book when it comes to the common challenges and pitfalls of non-monogamous relating. And I created this course really because I don't want anyone ever to have to go through the really challenging, heartbreaking experiences I went through by taking the approach of just the blind leading the blind. I think at the beginning of my partnership, we read some books and then took a lot of risks with our hearts. And for a while, I honestly was afraid that we had broken our marriage by being so reckless and unskilled in just being able to manage the complications of trying to balance multiple romantic relationships simultaneously. And we were paying for not one, but 3 therapists between the two of us to unwind some of the damage. So it's been a long journey of unlearning and developing the skills required to repair and rebuild our foundation and create agreements that can hold the complexity of this way of relating. And I don't say this lightly, but multiple people were harmed in my process of opening up. And my desire is to create this course and offer support for people who are on a similar path and hopefully help people prevent some of those mistakes that we made through just not having enough practice, not having enough resources, not understanding our needs and our boundaries. So, and I just want to add here that while this group space that I'm creating was originally designed with some people who have some experience navigating non-monogamy, I really believe that anybody who is curious about alternative relationships or starting to open or is just curious about it would really benefit from this curriculum that we're going to go through together. It's really designed to create a strong foundational understanding of how to hold multiple relationships in a way that's not going to cause harm to yourself or others. So I've gone through an incredibly transformative personal process to be able to recognize how culture and society subconsciously taught me that I should stay small, minimize, avoid conflict. I was socialized to be a people-pleasing woman. The messages I received growing up was to really minimize, discount, or ignore and feel shame about my bisexuality. And yeah, the dominant cultural message was always to look for a monogamous husband, commit to him for life. And that was really presented as the only relationship goal that I should ever strive for. And that began to feel really limiting. So the more I examined it, the less I wanted to keep recreating and reenacting those old patterns and stories that were never mine. So the coach that I am today is really due to the incredibly challenging 10-year path that I've walked and my ability to embrace and confidently advocate for my needs and desires without shame, intentionally expand my capacity to communicate my values and my boundaries, and lovingly create agreements based on care, not competition, to cultivate multiple deep partnerships that feel safe and secure. And on my website, ariadiana.com, you can read more about some of the recent certifications I've completed to be able to hold trauma-informed space for people to heal some of the insidious cultural beliefs that we may still be carrying, that we don't even realize that we are reenacting in our relationship patterns, and help people move away from relationship scripts that no longer align with how we want to be in relationships. So I started sharing more publicly about non-monogamy about 4 years ago and how it was helping me learn and grow as a human. And people began reaching out for support and asking questions like, how the heck are you doing this? And I began to notice a pattern. So the three common issues that I began to recognize, I kind of am lumping into three buckets. The first one is communication breakdowns. So unexpressed expectations and fears, failing to advocate for their needs, or an inability to repair after some kind of rupture or conflict. The next bucket is nervous system regulation issues, which is just generally not having the capacity to manage the emotional intensity of supporting multiple complex relationships simultaneously, or getting totally flooded and overwhelmed with jealousy and anxiety. And then the last bucket is around internalized limiting beliefs. So just general insecurity about not being enough for one's partner, fear of being abandoned for someone better, or feeling like non-monogamy was somehow an inappropriate way to relate to others. So I just want to invite you to pause and breathe and reflect, and maybe comment in the chat. Are you struggling with any of these three issues? Do you resonate with any of these things as you think about opening a relationship or sharing a partner? Where are you most in need of support with these topics? I'm just going to read a couple of the chats here. Yeah, thank you all for sharing. So yeah, these three areas are really the core foundation of this new group coaching program I'm launching. And the way that we'll address them is through somatic coaching for embodied transformation. And I will go much deeper into what this explains next. It also includes private integration calls with personalized coaching with me, communication and mindset exercises, group sharing, small group breakout sharing, so you have people to reflect with. We'll be doing breath work, story exchanges to build empathy and compassion, journaling, meditation, and there will be an affinity or a buddy system as another layer of support. So somatic coaching really is designed to help us get unstuck from the shapes that we've grown accustomed to inhabiting when they no longer serve us or align with who we want to become. It's a transformative methodology to evolve unhelpful patterns of reactivity that prevent us from embodying the types of relationships that we desire. So before we go deeper into the philosophy of somatic coaching and how it can support people navigating non-monogamy, I want to invite you to join me in doing another mini meditation. This is called a centering practice, and it's a foundation of somatic coaching with the principle to really build a strong center inside of us so that when we get knocked off balance, we have a place inside of us to return to. So I'm going to stop screen sharing there for a moment. And yeah, again, I want to just invite you to get comfortable. You will be here for just about 8 minutes. So you're welcome to lay down if that feels good, stand up, or be seated. And we're going to center intentionally in 4 dimensions. So, the goal with this exercise is to become more present, open, connected, and on purpose, and to help you discover new things about yourself. It's a practice that helps us transform ourselves and settle into our bodies so that we can perceive more choices. It helps us ground in the present moment with all that is, and it helps us take steps towards a more aligned version of our life where we can make more conscious choices about how we want to show up for ourselves and in this container and for our relationships. So, yeah, go ahead and close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or you can just soften your gaze and begin by bringing your full awareness back into your own body in this present moment. Just begin to get quiet and practice listening to what is inside of you. Notice if there are any places of discomfort and bring some curiosity into how you want to center yourself in this moment. You can begin to notice the temperature of the air on your face, any tightness in your back or maybe your shoulders. Notice any places that feel numb, and begin to bring some awareness to your center. In this practice, we call the space below the belly button the center. So if you want, you can place a hand there or just bring some awareness there. And the first direction we're going to center in is our vertical dimension. So you can imagine a vertical line running from your tailbone to your head. And you can imagine this as a column of white light. And just see if there are any places that you can elongate there in that vertical dimension. Can you simultaneously connect further down into the earth while rising up in the clouds above you? This is the way that dignity gets expressed in our shape. It's an invitation to literally stand tall and proud in the essence of your being. And as you feel yourself in your full length, I want to invite you to feel your full worth and value and let those feelings inform the shape. So this is an invitation to feel more fully embodied in yourself that's rooted in presence, dignity, connection, and purpose. The second direction we're going to center in is our side body. So we're going to center in our width. You can imagine the width of your head, of your jaw, your shoulders, your arms and elbows, your torso, your hips, your knees, and your feet. And as you center into the width of your physical body, I want to invite you to center into the feeling of belonging. How can you soften and be vulnerable and feel held by the acceptance and the curiosity in this room? Begin to bring breath to any places where you've been told to shrink. And see if you can just release any little bit of tension that you've been holding. And as you begin to feel the width of your body and the space that it takes up, begin to feel the boundaries of the space around you and the energetic field that extends beyond your physical body. And begin to allow your perception to slowly widen to feel more of the energy of the room that your body is inhabiting. Next, we're going to center in the back body. So I want to invite you to look for any sensations of clothing on your shoulders, the back of your neck. And you can begin to imagine the back wall of whatever room you're in. And just begin to slowly settle back into your chair, into your seat. Behind us is our history, everything that we've lived before this very moment. Behind us is also 3 billion years of evolutionary wisdom, our ancestors and our guides. So I want to invite you to feel that inherent wisdom in your own body and the evolution of all human bodies. And here you can call in those who have your back, either in this world or historically on the ancestral plane, and just feel that support in this moment. Next, we're going to center in the front body. Our front is our future, where we place our intentions, our hopes, and our dreams. And just begin to feel into where your front body meets your back body. How is your present connected to your past? And begin to soften your chest and your belly. Look for any sensations on your arms or the tops of your hands. See if you can soften the expression on your face. And the front body is an invitation to look at how we're showing up in this moment, in this season, in this new year. Again, you can make contact with your lower belly, maybe put a hand on that center of gravity or just bring awareness there. And the final dimension we're going to center in is the dimension of care and purpose. So from the center of your body, I want to invite you to think about what it is that you care about and who it is you care about. You can imagine a person, a place, a pet, and just begin to fill up with that sense of love for whatever it is you brought to mind. You can imagine the smell, the sight, and notice what shifts in your body when you're connecting with what you care about. And from this place, I want to invite you to form an intention, one thing that you want to practice as it pertains to relationships. And let whatever that intention is inform how you show up now, so that we can start to move with intention and aligned action. So this centering practice helps us remember our dignity, our belonging, our boundaries, our depth, what we long for, where we came from, and what we're moving towards. So as we begin to close, I just want to invite you to notice, how are you showing up now? How are you physically inhabiting your body? What has shifted, maybe even just 1 degree from how you arrived here? I want to invite you to take one closing breath in, the deep exhale. Beautiful. Thank you for practicing with me. You can gently open your eyes, maybe take a little stretch, drink some water. And from this centered place, together we can begin to look at how we're moving through the world and if it's in alignment with our desires and our values. So one of my teachers, Stacey Haynes, explains that somatics understands that people's soma, which is their integrated mind, body, spirit, and whole living organism, is made up of their embodied practices, many of which are unconscious. And Stacey asks, what is embodied in you that may not align with your values? So to put it another way, when you're under pressure, are your behaviors and actions still in alignment with who you want to be? And if not, it's an invitation to consciously transform how you're showing up in the world. And this process of noticing our usual emotional responses and habits invites us to become more aware and present, and eventually decreases our automatic reactivity. So by slowing down, we create more of a conscious choice in how to respond when we feel our automatic protective reactions, the fight, flight, freeze, appease, or dissociate, coming online in response to perceived or real threats. And by uncovering how past threats and experiences still inform the way we move today, we can honor our habitual physical reactions and behaviors as protective survival shapes that our body learned to inhabit to keep us safe. And with greater awareness and practice, we can begin to transform these automatic reactions and patterns and find new ways of moving through the world and with others that are in deeper alignment with our values. So, for example, maybe you're like me and you have an embodied pattern of slamming doors and shutting down and running away when you feel personally attacked by a partner expressing their feelings during an argument. This used to be my default embodied response to feeling overwhelmed. I would just flee the scene with no words. And over time, I've mostly gotten better at this. It still is something that I definitely feel myself wanting to do. But now when I notice that automatic response coming online, I slow down and try to use my words to communicate like, hey, I'm overwhelmed. I'm going to go cool off and we'll come back at a later time rather than just dramatically and silently fleeing the scene from an argument. So practicing non-monogamy can put us in lots of situations where we don't have any experience or reference points on how to gracefully move through the situation. And somatics is an embodiment practice that grows our ability to be present in more situations. So somatic coaching is a partnership between you and me to get clear on what it is you care about, what you actually desire, not what society has taught you to desire. And it's an invitation to reflect on how you're building relationships and where are you out of alignment with yourself or with others. And it's also an invitation to look at what you need to develop and embody to help you find greater balance within yourself. So somatic coaching is a 3-part approach that helps us evolve into a new embodied shape that's more in alignment with our deepest desires through somatic awareness, somatic opening, and somatic practices. And we're going to go into each of these in a moment. I'm just going to take a second to read some of these comments. I'm seeing most of them are coming through as direct messages, which is fine. If you feel like sharing with a group, that's also great. One says, I'm single and in multiple relationships, not sure how to communicate sometimes. Someone else says, I feel more in need of support with jealousy and open, vulnerable communication. Nervous system regulation is huge for me. Yeah. Cool. Thank you all for sharing. Good to get caught up in the chat. Thank you, tech support. All right, somatic awareness. So this is the first part of somatic coaching. So it's all about bringing conscious awareness to our once unconscious reactions. So for example, if we notice a twisting or a nauseous sensation in our gut when someone we love is gushing about how excited they are about someone that's not us, our body might be trying to communicate an embodied fear of losing that person's love. And if we become aware enough, we have choices about what to do and how we respond to that sensation. So maybe we've developed the tools to self-soothe ourselves. Maybe we know that what we actually need is to express our fear and practice making a vulnerable request that honors our need for validation from this person that we love in this moment. Hopefully, we don't just ignore and suppress the feeling and bottle it up and then explode later. But for many of us, that avoidance of being vulnerable might be part of that protective survival shape that we have learned, which is born out of a desire not to be rejected or abandoned. So in the upcoming 12-week group coaching program, the intention is really to create a brave space to practice in community, bringing somatic awareness to the sensations that come up for you in different non-monogamous scenarios. And it'll be a space where you can begin to learn to listen more closely to the messages that are arising within your soma and how to use that embodied information to communicate with partners, to advocate for your needs, to update your internal stories about what is appropriate or what relationships should look like, and then begin to create new boundaries and agreements that honor your personal needs. So I just want to invite everyone to pause and breathe and notice how your body's feeling. And yeah, I want to invite you to reflect and comment in the chat. What is it that you long for in your relationships? Where are you making choices from a place of anxiety or insecurity? Where do you struggle to communicate in your romantic relationships? And are you holding on to outdated mindsets that no longer serve you? Yeah, I'm just reading some of these comments. I need better practice on how to keep the big picture in mind and how to keep the faith to live authentically and big and not fear failing the relationship and thus play small. Yeah. Yeah, that's real. Thank you for sharing. So the next part of somatic coaching is around somatic opening, which is really a process of unwinding the patterns and survival responses from our bodies. So it's a process of releasing some of the armored layers and the defensive patterns that we've accumulated over time. And by coming into contact with some of these protective shapes that we've grown accustomed to inhabiting, we'll work to soften them and begin to release old ways of being that are getting in the way of how we want to show up and what we care about. So again, another invitation just to think about, yeah, are there protective or defensive shapes that you make in relationships that prevent you from showing up in alignment with your values? This might look like resistance to being vulnerable, turning away from conflict, shutting down when you feel threatened, an inability to speak or even know your boundaries. Maybe you come from a family where to protect yourself, you had to resort to yelling to make sure you were heard, or maybe you expect people to read your mind and blame or criticize them when they don't know your feelings. Maybe you become defensive or stonewall. And so it can be a lot to look at this stuff and not shy away from some of these old patterns that no longer serve us. And again, yeah, drink water, make sure you're resourcing yourself as we talk about some of these things. Yeah, you can put a hand on your heart, feel your feet on the floor. Again, just bring some awareness to your body and make sure you're taking care of yourself. Yeah, it's a lot to look at ourselves in this way. So I'm really excited about creating a community meditative space that encourages our bodies to open to new and empowering ways of thinking, moving, and communicating our ideal vision and values for our relationships. And for me, one of the most useful tools that I've discovered that's helped me open and release the old patterns that no longer serve me is through breath work. And so I'm excited in this 12-week program to share 3 different breathwork rituals throughout the program to help people soften and release old programming and shame. I, yeah, have had incredible experiences with this particular type of breathwork. Yeah, I'll just share for me personally, the first time I did this particular technique, I just had just this outpouring of shame around my desire to be intimate with women and realized that that was something that I'd inherited from my mother, who was a closeted lesbian for the first 65 years of her life. So all of my upbringing was, yeah, I had subconscious messages about what relationships are supposed to look like, what genders they're supposed to be with. And it was really freeing just to be like, wow, none of this was mine and I don't need to carry this anymore. So yeah, I've seen people clear all kinds of old patterns through this really psychedelic kind of breath work that we're going to practice. And yeah, I'm excited to share that with you. Just going to take a moment to read some more of these. I was watching a silly TV show last night until I recognized myself in angry, yelling, blaming behavior. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting when we can begin to bring more awareness about how we're showing up that maybe we don't want to. How to hold true to every one of my partners and make sure we're all honoring our needs. Yeah, thank you all for sharing here. This is great to see. Been doing a lot of learning this year is to work through shame. It's subtle and sometimes not so much. Yeah. Thank you guys. All right. So did we talk about somatic practice? Yes, we did, right? No, we didn't. Okay. I get confused sometimes. Okay, so we talked about somatic awareness and somatic opening. Somatic practice is all about tools that help us embody more aligned shapes with which we want to relate. So in this final phase, we're really working on practicing, yeah, building those new embodied ways of relating that are more on purpose, connected to what matters to us and in alignment with who we want to become. So, for example, after developing enough somatic awareness, maybe next time we feel our jaws and our shoulders tightening and the restriction in our breath, when maybe a partner says we did something to hurt their feelings, we can practice sitting with that discomfort and attuning to the pain that our partner's trying to express rather than getting defensive or running away or denying their experience. So somatic practice really helps us begin to expand our window of tolerance so that we can hold more, which I found is really important when you're trying to hold multiple people in loving relationships simultaneously, especially when there's conflicting needs that you're trying to juggle. So one more invitation to pause and reflect. As you think about building new embodied ways of relating, what do you long for in your relationships that you want to practice? This might look like feeling less anxiety when a partner is going on a date with someone else, knowing your true desires outside of what society tells you you should desire, being able to confidently say yes or no from a centered place, an ability to stay centered amidst relational turbulence, the ability to create and hold boundaries, the ability to proactively ask for what you want, trusting that you are worthy of love, and that just because your partner cares about someone else doesn't mean they care about you less. That's a big one. So yeah, this group program is really going to be a place where we'll practice both top-down approaches that are looking at our mindset and our communication, as well as bottom-up approaches that work with the body in terms of grounding techniques and body scans, progressive muscle relaxation, and mindfulness practices to help us regulate the nervous system and embody these new shapes that honor who we want to become. So it's a whole mix of different tools that will invite you to look at and begin to transform some of these common protective or defensive shapes that you make that prevent you from showing up in alignment with your values. So for the people who want to know a little bit more about what we'll be practicing, the first month is really all about building our somatic resources and deepening our emotional intelligence to bring more awareness to our common ways we move. So we'll practice being seen and sharing more openly about our desires and relationship styles. Many of us were taught to hide and not be seen in desiring things that deviate from the usual scripts. We'll clarify our relationship visions and values, and we'll really begin to befriend our nervous system. So we're going to do this really cool polyvagal nervous system mapping technique where you can begin to learn more concretely how your unique body responds to the signals of threat and connection. We'll practice building empathy for ourselves and others, learning about our triggers, identifying resources to help us self-regulate. We'll do some excavation of limiting beliefs, and then we'll end with a breathwork experience to release some of this monogamous frameworks and create space for different ways of relating. We'll also have our first bonus workshop with my dear friend, Olivia Clear, who's a licensed psychotherapist. She's going to be sharing about attachment styles and how those can interact with trauma and how we can work with those things to begin to cultivate more of a secure base inside of ourselves. You'll also have your first one-on-one call with me, and this is an opportunity to get personalized one-on-one support with whatever you might be dealing with in your own relationships. In the second month, we're going to practice clear communication and creating interdependent relationships. So we'll practice meta communication, which is communicating about communicating, which is essentially like learning how to ask our partners, what is it that you want from us in this moment? Do you want advice? Do you just want me to hold space? And we'll practice this as a group. We're going to practice building consensual shared agreements that honor everyone's needs for safety and belonging. We're going to practice embodied self-awareness and shifting from codependent ways of relating to more healthy differentiation. So if you're coming from a monogamous couple-centric mindset, we'll work on creating more separation from you and your partner to honor your unique separate experiences as sovereign beings rather than one enmeshed couple entity, which can, I've seen a lot of issues when people don't realize that they're actually two separate beings. We'll practice self-soothing with the resources we developed in month one. We'll practice co-regulation and how we can create safety in other people's nervous systems by being resourced ourselves. We'll practice rewriting internal narratives about self-worth and what's appropriate. Our next breathwork experience will focus on resilience and self-empowerment, and then we'll end with the second one-on-one integration call. And in our final month together, we'll really focus on conflict resolution and cultivating resilient relationships that can handle stressors and ruptures. So we'll practice repair, taking centered accountability when hurt arises. We'll be looking at somatic consent, which is really paying attention to your embodied yeses and nos. We'll do a story exchange, which is this really beautiful sharing exercise around learning from our jealousy and what it can teach us about our actual desires. We'll do a breathwork experience around forgiveness for ourselves and others. And as we close, we'll share more about our personal non-monogamy journey and where we're desiring to go at the end of our time together. We'll have our second bonus workshop with my anchor partner of 12 years. He will be sharing about how to have conversations around safer sex with multiple partners, how to, unwind some of that stigma, and he'll be examining some of the creative power that we can cultivate when we honor our desires and bring light to the things that we've been taught to hide. And then we'll end with a final integration call with me. And for people who like to see more of like the structure and the precise kind of timing and details, so we'll have our group coaching calls every Tuesday evening from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. starting on March 19th, which is the spring equinox. Seemed like a great time to launch this, bloom into something new. And each call will really consist about, there'll be like a learning portion where we're learning new tools, exercises, and frameworks. There will be a space to experience and practice in small group breakouts or a large group experience. And then we'll integrate this to help you bring these tools into your life. The integration calls will be scheduled at your convenience at the end of each of the 3 months. We'll have those 2 bonus workshops on Thursdays in April and May. We'll use WhatsApp as our community group for announcements and discussion. There will be that buddy system where you get paired with another student for just another layer of support. I've heard a lot of people who are beginning to open or are non-monogamous really feel lonely in their journey. So that's just another way to, build another connection and get additional support. And there will be just a little bit of homework. I'm going to invite everyone to start or commit to a daily meditation practice. It can be just 5 to 10 minutes to really begin to deepen self-awareness. And there'll be some journaling prompts at the end of each week, just to give you some extra self-reflection time. So yeah, my desire in creating this transformative 12-week journey together is just to create a space where we can practice deepening our self-awareness, creating new supportive resources to build capacity in your nervous system, to help you stay present with partners during conflict. You'll leave being able to more clearly create shared agreements and understand your needs to feel safe and supported. And in general, you'll feel more empowered in your ability to craft intentional and consensual non-monogamous relationships that feel meaningful and sustainable. I am offering this program at a sliding scale pricing model. My desire is to try to make this as accessible to people as possible. So there's a standard price and then what I'm calling a supported price. I'm borrowing this model from the Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams, who does amazing group work. The supported price is for those who might need a little bit more support in this moment to participate. And then there's the rebalancing price if you are an abundant human and you want to support other people on doing this work. And I also want to say if these prices are still not accessible and you feel like you'd really benefit from being in this space, please go ahead and book a call with me, and maybe Techsport can drop that link in the chat. Definitely book a call and we can see what's possible. And for anyone who, isn't ready to go on that 12-week journey, or maybe the schedule doesn't align for you, I'm also offering one-on-one somatic relationship coaching that can really be tailored to your specific needs to support the transformation you're desiring. So all of that can be scheduled in your own time, and we can work on, creating shared goals and help you develop any of the things that I've talked about tonight in a more targeted way. So that was a lot of talking. I'm going to take a pause here and read some more of your comments. If you have questions, stick them in the chat, or if you want to come off mute, you're also totally welcome to do that. We can have a little conversation if anyone feels like it. And yeah, here are just some testimonials from some of my previous non-monogamous workshops. Okay, amazing. Well, I think we're to the place where I'm going to give away a special bonus. So let me just scroll back through this chat. Christine, I see your name in here a lot. Really appreciate all your comments and reflections. And you were the first one to raise your hand and be brave to speak. So Christina, I'm going to pick you for the free, free one-on-one coaching session. So you know where to find me. Definitely reach out and we can get that scheduled. And yeah, like I said, you're so welcome. We have just 4 spots left for this group coaching container. My goal was 10 people. We're at 6. And yeah, I really want to, if 6 is all we get, great. But if there's more people that feel like they would benefit from going on this journey and being in community and having a place to have these conversations and practice, really would love to chat with you. Yeah, I think there's a link in the chat mod. Can you drop that Calendly link? There's some other links there where you can read more about the program. There's also my Substack. Cody, I think you must have read what I published today about toxic monogamy. Yeah, I'm writing longer form essays once a week. You'll get those on Tuesdays. And if you want to explore the program, if you want to talk about one-on-one coaching, feel free to grab a free 30-minute slot in that Calendly link. Would love to be a resource for anyone here, or if you know anyone who's struggling with some of these things, definitely reach out. I'm going to stop screen sharing. And yeah, I think that's our time together. So thank you all so much for joining. So sweet to see your faces. Appreciate you practicing with me and hope to be in touch with all of you. Have a good night, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Be well.